Hello everybody, I am Fuzzy Face. Welcome back today to what is season 3 of this Motorsport Manager career at Audi team. We're heading in as champions, looking to defend our crown. It might be a little bit harder this season. I've notched the difficulty level up 1, and we're starting the season with not the greatest of cars. We are the 7th best overall. The car rating is just slightly above average, but we're heading to Sydney here, which is gearbox front wing heavy. The engine is also useful, as we know the engine's miles behind. We're only above the Honda. The gearbox is not up to scratch either. We do have a pretty decent front wing though. Could we be expecting top 10? Could we be outside the top 10? It might be a little bit hard. The car is not where it was last season. We've actually fallen behind over the course of the pre-season. We're still there or thereabouts, and with a couple of quick upgrades we should be able to do that. We're going to jump in. I do want to build an engine as the first upgrade this season, but there's not a lot of improvement there. I mean, if we have a look at our engine, we'll just see how much of an improvement it is, because I do want to get the engine done first. We are a 1330. If we build a new engine, I mean, it is a 50-point increase, so that is what we're going to do. We're a little bit behind schedule as well, because I've waited till the first race to get the first build done. That is going to be 34 days from now. Should be done just in time for China. So if we can get that done, a little bit of improvement. I mean, is that going to get us near Mercedes? Should get us above Ferrari. Hopefully that is going to be the case. But anyway, it's going to be interesting to see what the shakedown is between all the changes that we've had. I mean, we've got Charles Leclerc in a Mercedes. At Ferrari, we've got Hamilton and Ricciardo. Max Verstappen has moved to the newly joined Ford Performance Haas. I mean, that is a pretty decent car. As we see, the Ford Performance Haas is 4th best overall. They've got a decent engine. I mean, like the front wing, they're still behind. Suspension, I mean, the miles behind. They've still got a lot of work to do on the chassis. There's a couple of areas where they're really strong. They're just, I mean, the engine and the gearbox are really, really powerful. But anyway, we'll get into this. We've only got one sponsor bonus that we can choose, and that is Audi. As we see, we've got this change as well. There's only 2 tyre compounds now available for the weekend. So I think this is just going to be what we take from now on, 8 and 7. I mean, why is Pierre unhappy with the car? Is there something wrong with the car here? Everything should be exactly the same. Do we just have to do that? And then both guys, yeah, both guys are happy with that. I mean, it does say it's 60%. Everything is at 100% because we've changed the database just so we don't have any retirements with the AI, because I don't like that there's so many breakdowns over the first race as there is in the vanilla version. You usually get half the field breaking down in the first race. So all the reliability has been changed for all the AI cars as well. They're all at 100%, but it looks like we've got a rainy qualifying, we've got a rainy race. Practice should be all right. But anyway, we'll jump over practice like we usually do, and we'll be back in a second to see how much this rain does affect qualifying here in Australia. So practice is over. Lando Norris looking quick in the McLaren, Verstappen up there in the Ford Performance Haas. We've got the Duke Mercedes up there, we've got Ferraris up there. Things looking like they're a little bit more back to normal. Apart from us, we're 15th and 16th. We're not looking that quick at all. Pierre Gasly getting pretty close with his quickest time on a soft tyre, close to Sebastian Vettel's quickest time on a super soft. I mean, we're definitely not looking quick here. I mean, I'm a little bit shocked by that, how slow we actually were. I'm hoping that it's not going to be an indication of what the pace is going to be like over this race. I mean, we're pretty much there with the setup as well. There's no rain at the moment. We know there's rain coming this session, but I'm not going to look at the radar. We just have to run as we would do, as if we were the AI in that, which is blind to the radar in qualifying, because they don't look in. I don't think we've got rain early on here, so we're going to get out on the super soft tyre. And then as soon as we do that, we do get rain. So that is great. So this is going to be a lap that we're just going to have to abandon here, aren't we? Should we just... We're going to have to abandon this lap. Oh, no, we can't. We can't do that, can we? We're just not going to set a time with Gasly. We're just going to set the one time at the end. For Pierre Gasly, we shouldn't really have abandoned that lap because... I mean, Vettel is actually out on a dry track now. Yeah, we shouldn't have actually abandoned that lap, so because we just have to run as we normally would do with the weather that is on track. I mean, Vettel, though, he's still 10 seconds down, even though, yeah, the track was nowhere near dry. The weather is getting a little bit worse for wear, so we just have to send the cars back on track when we normally would do, just so we replicate the air, so just so we don't have an advantage over them. Meanwhile, it's Daniel Ricciardo sat on pole in front of Hulkenberg in a Williams. This is a point where we'd usually let Gasly back out on track. There's a lot of water on track. Hopefully that weather is going to calm down though. And we'll get Vettel back out on track as well. So hopefully we can crack the top 10 here. The rain is stopping, so we are on the right tyre just about when we're starting this lap, which is going to be pretty decent. So hopefully we're going to make up the distance that we are behind here. I don't think anyone's going to go any quicker. I mean, there's not much rain out on track. It's possibly suited to a dry tyre at the moment, but everyone is out on intermediates. I mean, Gasly is about 1.2 seconds down, gets up into 10th. Sebastian Vettel will come across the line here into 9th place. Gasly is pushed down to 14th. Charles Leclerc is going pretty quick here. Ricciardo sits on pole position. Leclerc gets himself up into 4th. So Ricciardo, after 2 disappointing seasons with Renault, has found himself on pole position here in a Ferrari. Hamilton's up there as well. We've got the Mercedes up there. Williams looking pretty good. De Vries, I mean, that's not too bad of a position. We've got the 2 Ford Performance Haas's up there as well. So it is a pretty good grid all in all. But then we see the Renaults messing up their strategy in qualifying once again, so far down the order. I mean, I don't know what we have to do to try and get Renault up there. I mean, their car is not there at the moment. But anyway, we'll leave the grid for a little bit. It looks like it's going to be dry here at the start of the race. And there is rain forecast for this session, but it doesn't look to be there at the moment. I mean, we're outside the top 10. Which means I don't have to start on the softest tyre compound. So should we go for the soft? I mean, even that's not going to stretch out to if there's any rain, is there? No, we'll go for the super soft. And we'll just make sure we want the bonus for that, don't we? Yeah, we're on the supers, which is fine. And we'll take the super soft bonus. Because if there is rain coming, we can go 2 super softs then and into, instead of having to use 2 different tyre compounds for the race. Because that will be sorted out by the rain. We just have to keep an eye on that radar. But anyway, here is the grid for the 2023 now Australian Grand Prix. We have Daniel Ricciardo, Lando Norris starting on the front row of the grid. They're followed by Lewis Hamilton and George Russell. Charles Leclerc in his first race in a Mercedes, out-qualified by his teammate, although a lot of that is down to when you're out on track. Max Verstappen in his first race for the Ford Performance Haas is in 6th. Hulkenberg 7th in a Williams. Newgarden 8th. His 3rd season now in Formula 1. That Haas car is now much improved. Lance Stroll starts on the soft. Is he the only one starting in the top 10 on these soft tyres? He is, Lance Stroll. Up there in the Aston Martin. Valtteri Bottas in the Alfa Romeo, which is pretty strong this season as well. And then we get for Sebastian Vettel, 11th. Nick De Vries, 12th in the Williams. Sainz, 13th. Alonso, 14th. That Red Bull, not up to scratch this season. Gasly, 15th. Vips, 16th in the Red Bull. They need to do a lot of improvement. Schumacher in the second Alpha is 17th. 18th for Albon in an AlphaTauri. 19th for Magnussen. 20th for Perez. The Renault not looking strong here. Tsunoda, 21st. 22nd for Schwartzman. Ocon, 23rd in his return to Renault, and 24th for Antonio Giovinazzi. So here we go with the start of the race. Hopefully we can get a good start. Vettel is slow off the line. It looks like Gasly's slow off the line in a livery that, whilst we're out on track, looks like we should be sponsored by Heineken. Frankly, we're not sponsored by Heineken. I mean, we've got Johnny Walker on the car. I mean, it's a drink sponsor, but I don't know. But anyway, we have had just a horrendous start here. I mean, Vettel is battling away with the Renault and a Red Bull at the moment. That's Ocon and Vips. Vettel now drops down to 18th place. I mean, what is this start? I mean, the 2 Ferraris have got off the line absolutely perfectly. We don't actually want to. Actually, we do want to just go through this tyre as quick as we can. We don't want to use too much fuel though. But anyway, we've got Ricciardo running this race from first place. I mean, it is a big improvement for him now that he is out of the Renault team. Hamilton, his teammate, is behind him. Leclerc, Nick De Vries has had an amazing start here, sees himself up into 5th ahead of Max Verstappen in that Ford. In 6th place, Stroll is pretty decent as well. Russell must have been slow off the line as well, finds himself down in 8th place. And then Alonso in the Red Bull rounds out the top 10, whereas Vettel is now moving back up the order. We've managed to pass quite a few cars on track. We're not getting the same performance boost from pushing at the moment, so we are just going to conserve a little bit. Gasly's got himself back up into 19th place. We might I mean, we're stuck in a little bit of a group here. We're just going to cool down. We're going to let, that is Mick Schumacher in the Alfa Romeo. The Alfa Romeo with that new grey and red livery. But if we just cool down very briefly, we'll get back up into neutral. Vettel is still 13th. We're behind one of the Fords at the moment. We've cooled down slightly, so we're going to attack and see if we can get past this Ford Performance Haas now. Although we're under pressure from Carlos Sainz, me and McLaren. They had a pretty decent qualifying session. Lando Norris is in 9th place at the moment. Ricciardo is getting away from his teammate now as well. He's got a 3-second gap. Leclerc is trying to chase down Hamilton. And then we've got the two Williams right up there as well. Williams in for a really good season this season, it seems, and we are still trying to overtake this Ford at the moment. We're going to give Vettel a little bit of a boost, allow him to push with the fuel. He gets past Newgarden and Albon in the AlphaTauri. We've now got a Red Bull in front. And can we see what the rain's coming around about lap 16, so we can get off this tyre whenever we want. We can just keep pushing and then get onto another super soft and run at the back of the grid and try maybe get a little bit of clean air as well, as we get a pass made on Fernando Alonso to get into the top 10 now. Vettel is chasing down Lando Norris, although he's still under pressure. And we're going to try get this move made, although we lose out to Fernando Alonso now, as Gasly is just not having the best of races here. Get him pushing a little bit as well. There's a differential between the tyre wear rates between our two drivers at the moment. Vettel's used a lot more of this tyre than his teammate here has, and we're just not getting any benefit from this. We're just sort of getting held up now by Fernando Alonso. So what we're going to do is we're going to do one more lap on this tyre, and then we're going to get in for the super, because we're definitely going to have to go on to a pair of Inters to finish the race on. And we're going to run in a little bit of clear air here, but we don't want to push the fuel that much anymore. Maybe we should do the same with Gasly. Are they far enough apart that we can stack them in the pits? We're going to be a little bit cheeky here. We're going to pit a lot earlier than everyone else is out on track. I mean, we're running a little hot on these tyres, just running behind cars that are potentially slower than us. We're about to go off the cliff with these super softs on Vettel as well, so it is the right time to get into the pits with him. We've just gone through this tyre a lot more than the AI cars. Unless we have a mistake here, it should be alright. Oh, we do have a mistake on the pit stop. That is absolutely typical, isn't it? Look at that mistake on both tyres. I mean, this race just goes from bad to worse, doesn't it? I mean, the temperature, because it's early on in the year, it's not that high in Australia. I mean, we're such a long way back now. We should be quicker than the cars in front, but we're not going to be quicker to pick up. How much time did we lose? We lost like 7 seconds through that pit stop. 7 seconds. And meanwhile, we've got some fuel recovery to do with both cars. We don't have as much to do with Gasly, so we'll try close him up to Vettel a little bit. Meanwhile, Ricciardo is leading this race, so we might as well just speed up a tiny little bit. Hamilton second, Leclerc, Hulkenberg and De Vries. This top order hasn't changed, and it doesn't look like it's going to change until we get into the pits. Lance Stroll is running in 7th place. He's got the Mercedes behind him. I mean, that is just a row of Mercedes powers card there, of the Aston Martin, the Mercedes and the McLaren. Doesn't seem like they're able to pass each other. We've made up quite a bit of time though, running from the back here, aren't we? We're quite a bit quicker, 1:48. We're actually quite a bit quicker running in clear air, although we're starting to get onto the cars at the back of the order now. Have we made up enough time to negate the mistake that was made through the pit stop? And that is the question here. Can Vettel? I mean, there's a few cars coming into the pits. I mean, there's a bunch of cars out on the softs that are going to be pitting in about 2 or 3 laps from now, that are going to be going a lot longer than the cars that are on the super softs, but you never know, we might be able to work our way back up. We're in front of a Ford Haas at the moment. Newgarden seems to have dropped down quite a bit. His driver form is not there. Vettel is on top form here though, which is pretty good. We're doing a 1:48.8. I mean, we're still about a second quicker than the cars higher up the order. We're a lot quicker than most of the other cars around here now as well. But we are running pretty hot, but we don't have to go that much longer on this tyre. And as we get a bunch of cars into the pits now, we actually get out in front of Max Verstappen. So if we hadn't had that mistake through the pits, we would be so far up. But these cars now on the super softs, they should be able to get back past us if they're close enough. We can't really do a lot about that. We might as well try cool down very briefly and then have another period of pushing. I mean, it's not doing us any favours just running hot here. I mean, yeah, we'll just cool down for a little bit and we'll see where everyone filters. Who's at 19th? That is Giovinazzi, who's super softs have gone off here. And are we seeing more cars come into the pits yet? We've got a few more cars into the pits, so we end up in 14th now. There's still quite a few cars that haven't made pit stops that we are going to be in front of. And we're just waiting for the rain to come here. And we are nicely cooled down now, so we'll run in neutral. We should still cool down in neutral for a little bit. And then when we feel like we're going to get off these tyres, with about 2 laps, we'll start pushing all out once again. I mean, the fuel recovery is going on pretty well for Vettel. We need to start recovering with Pierre Gasly now. He's caught up to the back of his teammate. That is Schwartzman on a used tyre in front of us. So should we push to try and get past Schwartzman here? I'm guessing he's going to be coming in at the end of this lap as we jump a few more cars now through the pits. And we have ended up with both cars now seemingly in the top 10, it looks like, because Schumacher still has to pit, Schwartzman still has to pit. Albon we should be in front of as well. So that is a pretty decent result from getting in for that early pit stop. Even with the mistake, we could have been a lot higher had that not happened. We'll push Gasly to get past Schwartzman. Is he coming into the pits this time around, or Schwartzman's going for another lap? So we do need to push Gasly to get past him because he is under pressure from Lance Stroll. Look, he dives in at the last second, and we are just going to have to now hold on until the rain comes. I mean, all those cars that started on a few of the cars that went long on the softs, they got in for inters. I mean, the rain is not starting for 2 laps. I mean, 18 seconds through the pits, I think it is here. 20. We were 20 due to the mistake. But if you're quick enough, it's like 18 seconds through the pits. I mean, is that? I mean, 2 laps or 3 even. A 5-second loss could even be a 10-second loss on the inters. I mean, it seems to be a mistake going onto those inters so early. Whether it is there or thereabouts with not getting another pit stop, we'll just have to see how far they move up the order. But we're getting pretty close to the point where we need to get off this tyre as well, so we just have to be careful with it. And we'll switch back down. We've got both cars finally running in the top 10 though. And if we can just get through to the rain, we should be in a good position here to see ourselves through. The rain is about to start. Our tyre's going to go off. We could do with another lap here through the rain. We've got a few cars in though pretty early. I mean, that is not the crossover point for the inters. We've got a lot of cars doing it, so we're going to get in. We're going to have to double stack again though, which is a problem. Hopefully there's no mistakes this time around. We might as well push into the pits just to negate any drop off from these tyres. And I mean, we can just push the inter all out, although whether we want to do that in rain, that is getting heavier towards the end of the session. But Vettel going quicker on this lap. I think he hasn't quite dropped off, or those tyres just dropping off as he comes into the pits. Both cars now lining up, hopefully the double stack works out this time. It does. Vettel is out before Gasly gets in, and Vettel will rejoin the race in 8th position. I mean, we can just go with high mode for a little bit here as well. We don't need to really cool down these tyres, or we might as well just push until the end. We might get a few mistakes from the drivers if we're pushing all out in the rain, although it looks like that's what the AI is doing as well. But we get out into 8th. Gasly's lost a few places, has he? Just one, because Albon has actually made it work. He's got up into the top 10 here. We should be quicker than the AlphaTauri. I don't think we're quicker than the Mercedes that's in front of us. But now we just have to think about recovering. We still have a little bit of recovery to do. That should be done in 2 laps. 3 give us a little bit of running towards the end. Meanwhile, through the pit stops, if we look at the front of the order, Ricciardo set the quickest lap of the race. Leclerc has jumped the 2 Ferraris here. In his first race in the Mercedes, it looks like Leclerc could be going on for the victory here. Ricciardo will be on course for a podium, and Hulkenberg all the way up here in a Williams. De Vries doing really well in his first race in Formula 1 for the Williams team. Norris is up there in a McLaren, which is good to see. McLaren a lot better than they were last season. I mean, the car is exactly the same, but they're just running a lot better. Ferrari up there still with Hamilton. Verstappen will be in the top 10 in his first race in the Ford Haas. Stroll up there in Aston Martin, and Albon in the AlphaTauri as well. I mean, we're just pushing all out. These tyres are overheated, but try to cool them down. We're going to lose time. I mean, Vettel is getting away from Lance Stroll here as well. And we're pretty much there with the fuel recovery. another lap and we should be able to push in high mode to the end of the race here. But I'm pretty happy with this. If we can get one car in the points, I mean, we're the 7th best overall car, so we're not really a top 10 car. I mean, Vettel, I mean, he's one of the better drivers in the game still, so he should really be able to push a 7th best car into the top 10. So this is where we should be, really, at this point of the season. Obviously, it's going to be a while until we get that engine built, and we can go high mode. We do have really good fuel efficiency this season, though, so when we're running in high mode, as you can see, we're not actually dropping that much fuel running in high mode. It takes a long time for the fuel to go down. But anyway, we are on to the final lap. Leclerc starts the final lap of the race here. Looks like Mercedes are going to pick up the win in the first race of the season, although Ferrari will be top of the Constructors' Championship after this race, because where is George Russell? George Russell is still out of the points here, and Gasly having trouble chasing down the Mercedes and the AlphaTauri that are in front of him. I mean, we're going to have an AlphaTauri Honda in the points here, whereas the 2 Red Bulls are going to be finishing 15th and 20th. But anyway, we're coming around to the final section of this race. Leclerc is going to come across the line and win the first race of the season. Ricciardo doesn't seem, whatever he does, he still can't win a race even in this Ferrari. Williams grab a podium with Hulkenberg, Hamilton, Norris, De Vries. Verstappen comes across the line, Vettel 8th, Stroll 9th, Albon in 10th place, and then Gasly managed to get past George Russell on the final lap, gets up into 11th. I mean, Russell just wasn't pushing to get past the AlphaTauri, held us up a little bit, and maybe we could have got the AlphaTauri. But you never know. I'm pretty happy with that race. And Vettel got past Stroll on the last lap there. It seemed, no, did we move up? Why did we move up? We were running 8th. No, Hamilton dropped. What did Hamilton do? Did he run wide at some point? I mean, I might have to go and look back at the footage of that, but you'll get to see it because you can go back a lot easier than I can. But Hamilton, yeah, Ferrari, I don't know what happened. So that means Ferrari aren't going to be top of the constructors here, with Hamilton finishing lower than he was supposed to. Oh, he got a 10-second time penalty for something. Did he cut a corner at some point during the race? He's cut a corner and has moved back. So instead of finishing 4th, he's all the way down in 9th place here. As we see, Charles Leclerc, we know this order because we've just seen the race. But as we see, Mercedes are tied with Williams at the top of the order in the Constructors' Championship. Ferrari 3rd, not a bad race for them, could have been a lot better without the penalty to Lewis Hamilton. McLaren looking pretty good. Haas are looking pretty good. It's all going to be down to whether they can make their strategies work this season. Hopefully it's not going to be a case of Renault where they have a really good car but they just can't put it together in the race. But anyway, that was a pretty good first race of the season. We are expected to finish each race in 3rd place though. I mean, I can change it, the happiness of the chairman. I do know how to do that. So if it does get to that point and we're at the risk of being fired, we're going to have to make it so we don't get fired, because this series is all about Audi at the moment and what the other teams do around us. We don't really want to be moving teams. But anyway, we've got 2.1 million coming out of the bank account. We've got tons of money. Every team has tons of money in this game, just to make sure everyone just keeps going with their development, keep pushing forward. And I think that was Arthur Leclerc winning there in Formula 2. We don't look at that because it doesn't make much sense at the moment. But anyway, that was a really good first race of the season. I'm pretty happy with how things went. We have to, it seems like we've got a lot of work to do. But anyway, right, we're totally empty. We'll just say he can shove his opinions. And that hurts Williams' marketability. I don't think I've ever had that interview question before. Doesn't affect us, but does affect Williams. Yeah, it was a pretty good race for Williams though, wasn't it? 6th best car overall, and they finished in 3rd and 5th with a podium. De Vries doing really well in his first race. But anyway, that is it for the first episode, well, first official episode of this season. The last one was a preview. This one was the first race of the season. We do have Dubai coming next, but we'll get into that in the next episode. But until that time, I will see you down the road in Dubai for the next Grand Prix. But until that point, goodbye.